And recall your bodhicitta motivation. It's natural to be thinking, after we've been talking like this, about our own death and perhaps the death of loved ones. But everybody has to die. So we want to extend our awareness to all of them. And it was explained beautifully in the film how some people die with a lot of fear, particularly unexpectedly. The monk said, it's like the pigs dying. So really have great compassion for all our sentient beings around us. And also thinking about the other story in the movie, about the Burmese man who died with a peaceful mind, and what an example that was. How beneficial that was, not just for him and his family, but actually it was also a teaching and helpful and inspiring, and actually benefited others at the time of his death. So in this 9-round death meditation, we know that death is certain. We forget it, we put it out of our minds. But actually, if you think about it, there's no one that's not died eventually in all of history. Sometimes we hear about the oldest person alive, 120 or something like this. It seems extraordinary, but it's still limited. Everyone dies. So how do we really take this on board? Not just know it as a logical fact, but actually recognize that we ourselves will have a time that will come where we will no longer exist as we do now. And when this will happen, we don't know. We don't know the circumstances. It may be predictable because of an illness, but it may be completely out of the blue, completely unexpected. And sometimes it seems, even with someone with a terminal illness, sometimes they go on for quite a while and it almost starts to feel like they're not going to die because they've outlived the time predicted. They seem so well, or they seem to go down but come up again, and then suddenly, actually, they die. And the time is really not clear when it will happen. I was reading this book by a doctor who was saying that when the doctor says, oh, we'll make sure you have some time left, we can give you this drug and that drug. You know, most people think in really still in numbers of years, but the doctor is often only thinking very short term. So there's a mismatch between what we expect and hope for and what reality is. This idea that we can put death off, it can wait till later, till it's convenient, only that time never comes. So we need to somehow live our lives to make death almost convenient, as a possibility. Not something that's completely unexpected. Because our bodies are frail. It's true they can be very resilient to so many things that might have happened to us so far. But there are also so many ways in which the body is frail and weak, and when the causes come for death, they can't be stopped. There are so many processes in our bodies that are extraordinary in the way they regenerate and heal. But equally, something very small can interrupt this process. A small virus, a small thorn, a bite. So many things can cause death. There's no reliable length to our lifespan. Humans cannot predict exactly how long they will live. And if you think of the multiple ways that death can happen, you can say that there are really more ways that death is possible than staying alive. It's like His Holiness said in the movie, 99% chance we will be alive tonight, but 1% at least that we won't. Or as Lama Zopa often says, we don't know whether tomorrow or the next life will come first. And when death comes, there are many things that we rely upon now that won't be helpful at all. In fact, they'll be the opposite. Our wealth and all our possessions are something we'll have to leave behind. They can perhaps make us comfortable till that time comes. But when we think about separating from these possessions or our money or all the things we might have relied on to feel secure, if they're material things, then at the time of death this isn't going to be any help at all. It could be the opposite. It can make it harder to go to what Annie Karam described as the next hotel room. Because we can be clinging to these things. There's absolutely nothing material from this life that we can take with us on our journey. It might pay for the most beautiful coffin in the world, but that would be no comfort to us. These material possessions are totally meaningless at the time of death. And our family and friends can support us, can look after us, can be there. But they can't make the final journey with us. You might recall situations where it's really hard to say goodbye to somebody when you're getting on a train or a plane or going abroad or thinking, I won't see this person for a long time. It can be a big wrench. So we need to be prepared to be very appreciative of any help and support they offer, but also to recognize this is a journey we will do alone. And this body that we've lived with for how many years we are old, it's changed with us. At times it's been poorly, made us sick. At times it's been the means that we've been able to do something really wonderful, something we treasure. The vehicle that we've been able to use to do it. It's been with us through thick and thin, through good times and bad times. But when death comes, we'll leave it behind. Something we've identified with for all of our lives. Is suddenly useless. It's hard enough when it lets us down in this life by having a broken bone or a toothache or in some way where it just doesn't function the way you would expect. But at death time, it's totally useless. So we've established that death is definite. It will definitely happen. The time is uncertain. Many of the things that we rely on for this life will be totally unhelpful at the time of death. And we will have to leave them behind. However, the qualities that we work on in our mind, in our practice, these contribute to the imprints that will go with us. Our spiritual practice is something that can help us at the time of death. Because we'll have a bigger understanding of what this transition is. We will be with less fear. More aware that we need to die with a positive mind, thinking not just of ourselves but of others. Remembering both bodhicitta and wisdom. If we train our mind, then our death will come even if it's short and unexpected, or whether we have preparation time. this will make our death a positive transition. It's also an opportunity, because if we're prepared for death and familiar with these different experiences that happen at the time of death, the death process, then we can utilize this very subtle mind to deepen our experience of wisdom, understanding emptiness. So death can become even more meaningful. It can have a bigger purpose. It can be an opportunity.